What's up mga kachong-kachang? Ako po si Salvi and this is ToolTech and Gadgets. What we have right now is the Bosch GST-700 Pro, which I got from Lazada for 3,950 pesos. Pero ngayon you can get the same model at a lower price point, which in my opinion is a superb deal. Lately, marami sa atin are into DIY, particularly into woodworking. This is a pretty much straightforward tool right out of the box. So, sa mga beginners, alam kong excited na kayo to use your tools immediately, but I suggest to know the parts, their functions, and features so you'd be able to use the tool properly and effectively. Okay, let's start with the trigger. Ito yung trigger. Although sa manual, it is also referred to as a switch. However, the trigger works slightly different from a conventional switch. Ang trigger is pressure sensitive, meaning the more you press, the faster the blade will move up and down, and when you depress it, you will get the opposite effect. So useful ang feature na ito if you're doing intricate cut, or kung meron kang intersecting cutting path, yun yung nagmi-meet yung cutting lines mo sa isang point. So useful ang feature na ito because it gives you more control as you reach the end of your cutting point. Okay, let's move on to this knob. This knob is the speed selector knob. Ang function nito is that it changes the RPM range ng motor. So pag pinihit mo siya clockwise, you are increasing the RPM range, and then counterclockwise naman, you are decreasing the RPM range. So, ito yung medyo confusing sa mga beginners, especially sa mga first time pa lang gagamit ng power tools or any tools that has this same feature. So, you have a knob, or rather a trigger, that changes the speed as you press, and then you also have a knob that changes the speed as well as you turn them. So, let's put it this way. We're going to turn the knob, let's say all the way down. This setting is going to be the maximum output of the jigsaw. So no matter how much you press the trigger, the maximum output of the jigsaw is set to the lowest. Still, the trigger will work as it is. So if we turn it halfway, we can use half of its full potential, and if we crank it all the way up, we are utilizing the full potential of the jigsaw. Okay, let's move on to this button. This is the lock-on button. It simply locks the trigger at full press. We can push the button from either side. Useful ang button na to in doing long cuts. Let's say for example, you want to cut a plywood into half. So yun, medyo mahaba yun. All you need to do is press the trigger, push the button, release, and then you're good to go. So, magandang feature din siya kasi it lessens the tension and pressure both to the arm and to your hand, making it a lot easier and more comfortable to use. Okay, let's move on to this switch. This is the Orbital switch. So ang function niya is it makes the blade move in a slight circular motion. So aside from moving up and down, it makes the blade move in an elliptical pattern. So meron tayong apat na position for the switch. Initially, at 0, straight up and down ang movement ng blade. So as you step up the switch, lumalaki yung radius ng pattern. So useful ang feature na to if you're doing random or fast cut that does not require any precision or accuracy. Let's say for example, ang task is simply magtabas or mag-chop-chop ng kahoy randomly. So, You might want to take advantage of this feature because that elliptical pattern gives the blade an extra cutting force, making the job easier and a lot faster. But here's the downside. Using this feature creates a tear out. So ang tear out, yun yung rough edges sa mga pinagtabasan nyo. Actually ito, medyo minimal pa nga ito eh. Minimal pa to. So again, if you're gonna use this feature, let's say for example, nasa number 3 ka, so it creates tear out as opposed to pag nasa 0 ka, yung cut mo will look something like this. Okay, so you want to be mindful of using this feature, or kung gagamitin nyo man siya, make sure you use it on purpose. Okay, so let's move on to this part. This is the base plate. So ang base plate is yung palaging nakalapat sa kung ano man yung tinatabas natin. So you wanna make sure that the base plate is tightly fixed for better result and for safety na din. For angle or bevel cut, the base plate is adjustable. All you need to do is loosen this screw using this Allen wrench. Pero bago nyo gawin yon, you need to remove this protective cover so it won't get in the way as you move the base plate. Just a quick heads up. Right next to the screw on this side are notches. So these notches are used to dial in your desired angle. In this case, meron tayong tatlong notches. So yung nasa gitna, yun yung dead flat, and then above and below are for perfect 45-degree angle. Meron din siyang guide for other angles like 15 and 30, pero wala siyang notch. So if you have plans of using those guides, make sure that you double check the angle before making the cut. Once na maluwag na, you can push the base plate sideways and then select the angle, push the base plate back. Gipitan nyo lang yung screw and then you have a 45-degree angle base plate. Okay, let's move on to this part. This is the blade receptacle, or simply the blade holder. So different brand may have different designs, and even in different models of same brand may have slight different design pagdating sa blade holder. Meron kasi yung iba yung parang latch type na ililift mo siya before you can insert the blade, and then meron din namang iba na you need to twist the mechanism of the blade holder before you can insert the blade. But in this case, all you need to do is pull the sleeve and then insert the blade. Once the blade is attached, this holder has a locking mechanism that locks the blade into place. So just make sure that the blade is in line with the roller guide para hindi mag-move sideways yung blade. Okay, let's talk about the blade. If you have plans of buying new blade for an upgrade or for different application, it is important to know which blade to use on whatever material you are going to cut. Generally, there are two types of blade. One for metal and one for wood. In this case, ito pang kahoy ito. Also, you need to be aware of this part. This part is called the shank. Ito yung part na pinapasok natin doon sa blade holder. Not all jigsaw can accommodate all the types of shanks. So, kung bibili kayo ng bagong blade, make sure that the blade that you're gonna buy is compatible doon sa jigsaw ninyo. The three types of shanks are the bayonet, which is yung sinauna and obsolete na type of blade. And then the U-shank, which is also commonly used. And then the T-shank, which is becoming the industry standard. Dahil ito, mas madali itong gamitin. All you need to do is insert the blade into the blade holder and then you're good to go. Unlike sa other design, like yung may mga butas dito, you need to screw them into place bago nyo siya magamit. Again, if you're gonna buy a new blade, make sure that the shank is compatible doon sa jigsaw ninyo, and then the blade is the right blade for the material that you're going to cut.